Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Healthy Talks channel. I'm Emily, and I'm here with Dr. Steven. Today, we're tackling the ultimate grandma-approved remedy, chicken soup. Is it just a warm hug in a bowl, or is there actual biology happening in that broth?
It's great to be here.
Yeah.
And, I love this topic because it's one of those times where science kind of catches up with folklore.
Right.
It's usually we look at these old remedies and,
Yeah.
we have to say, well, it's a nice placebo. But with chicken soup, the medical data is actually there. There is some genuine peer-reviewed stuff happening in that bowl.
That's the best kind of news. I love when science validates me just wanting to eat comfort food. So, okay, let's set the stage for everyone listening. When we say biology is happening, are we talking about a cure?
That's the critical question, and we have to be really precise here. No, it is not a cure.
Okay.
Let's be clear. If you have a virus, the soup isn't going to go hunt it down and kill it. It's not an antibiotic. The best way to think about it for this deep dive isn't as a cure, but as a really sophisticated symptom management toolkit.
The toolkit. I like that. So it's not fighting the war, it's managing the battlefield.
That's a perfect way to put it. It manages how your body reacts to the invader. Because a lot of the time, the reaction is what makes us feel so miserable. And to really get that, we have to talk about this pivotal study. It's from back in 2000, published in the journal Chest by a researcher named Dr. Renard.
Dr. Renard. So I'm guessing he wasn't just, sipping broth in his kitchen.
Well, he kind of was. The famous part of the story is that he literally used his wife's grandmother's recipe for the study.
No way.
Yeah, he was testing grandma's soup against human immune cells in a lab. Specifically, he was looking at something called neutrophil chemotaxis.
Okay, that sounds very scientific. Let's break that down. Neutrophil chemotaxis.
Right, so neutrophils are a type of white blood cell. They're your body's first responders.
The good guys.
The good guys.
Mm-hmm.
When a virus hits your nose or your throat, your body sounds the alarm, and these neutrophils are the soldiers that rush to the scene. Chemotaxis is just the fancy word for their movement.
So we want them to rush in, right? Protect the castle.
You do, but here's the catch. Biology can be a little messy. When too many neutrophils rush to the site at once, they cause a lot of collateral damage.
Oh.
They release all these enzymes and chemicals to fight the virus, but that also causes massive inflammation in your own tissues. That swelling, the mucus, that awful stuffed-up feeling.
Wait, that's the neutrophils doing that, not the virus.
A huge part of it is, it's the accumulation of those cells. It's basically friendly fire in your sinuses. Your body is overreacting.
It's panicking.
Precisely. And this is where the soup comes in. Dr. Renard found that the chicken soup inhibited their movement. It didn't kill them, we need them. It just calmed them down, slowed the rush.
It told the white blood cells to just chill out a little bit.
Exactly. And this leads to the best analogy for it. I want you to picture your nose and throat as a highway.
Okay, got it. A highway. Probably rush hour if I'm sick.
Total gridlock. The virus is a little breakdown on the shoulder, but your body, in its panic, sends thousands of emergency vehicles. The neutrophils all at once.
And now nobody can move. Complete traffic jam.
That's congestion. That's literally it. The highway's blocked.
Oh, yeah.
So what this study suggests is that chicken soup acts like a traffic controller. It doesn't stop the emergency vehicles. It just waves them through in an orderly fashion. It spaces them out, which keeps the highway from getting totally jammed up.
That's such a great visual. So you're not stopping the fight. You're just organizing it so you can actually, breathe.
You're turning a panic response into a managed one.
Okay, that makes so much sense. But here's something I noticed, and I bet a lot of people listening do too. I take like 2 spoonfuls of hot soup, and I feel better almost instantly. That's way too fast for digestion. Right?
You're absolutely right. The neutrophil effect, that takes a while to kick in.
Yeah.
What you're feeling right away. That's not the biology. That's the physics.
That's it.
The heat and the steam is basically a natural humidifier for your face, but there's a very specific term for what it does. Nasal mucus velocity.
Nasal mucus velocity? That sounds like a superpower nobody would ever want.
Oh, I don't know. When you have a head cold, it's the only superpower you want. Inside your nose are tiny little hairs called cilia. Their whole job is to constantly wave back and forth to push mucus out.
A little conveyor belt.
Exactly. But cold, dry air makes them sluggish. They slow down, the mucus gets thick and stuck. The warm vapor from the soup, though, it hits the gas pedal on those cilia. It literally speeds up the conveyor belt.
So it's jump-starting the cleanup crew? But couldn't you just get that from a cup of hot water?
You could, but what's interesting is that studies suggest soup is often more effective.
Why?
The theory is it's the aroma, the savory smell of the chicken, the vegetables. It stimulates the nerves in your nose more powerfully than just plain steam, which helps open things up.
Oh, so it's a multisensory attack. Okay, we have the traffic controller and the steam turbine. But what about the actual stuff in the soup? Does it matter?
Oh, it absolutely matters. This is where we get into the chemistry of it all. Let's start with the chicken.
The star of the show. I'm guessing it's just protein, right? To build up your strength?
It is good protein, yes, but there's more. Chicken contains a specific amino acid called cysteine.
Cysteine. I feel like I've heard of that.
You probably have,
Hmm.
because there's a prescription drug used for things like bronchitis called acetylcysteine.
Whoa, they sound almost the same.
They're chemically very, very similar. And that drug is what's known as a mucolytic.
Mucolytic. Lytic means to break down.
You got it. It breaks down mucus.
Mm-hmm.
It attacks the chemical bonds that make mucus thick and gooey, and it thins it out. The cysteine from the chicken does a similar thing, just, on a milder scale that makes it easier to cough stuff up.
That is amazing. So you're actually eating a compound that thins mucus.
It's real medicinal chemistry.
Yeah.
And then there's the broth itself. When you have a fever, the doctor tells you to hydrate, right?
Hydrated, yeah.
But trying to chug ice water when your throat is on fire and your stomach feels queasy, it's awful.
Oh, it's the worst.
Exactly. A warm broth is what I call a rehydration cocktail. It's not just water. It's full of sodium and potassium electrolytes.
So it's basically a savory sports drink.
A hot, savory sports drink without all the sugar. When you have a fever, you're sweating out all those salts. The broth puts them right back in, and it's much easier for a sensitive stomach to handle.
That makes sense. Your body craves that salt when you're sick. What about the veggies, the carrots, the onions? Are they just for flavor?
Grandma was right about those too. Carrots are packed with vitamin A, which is crucial for keeping the lining of your respiratory tract healthy, the very barrier the virus is attacking.
So it's like sending in the repair crew.
Precisely. And then the onions and garlic. They contain compounds like allicin, which have shown, at least in a lab, some mild antiviral and anti-inflammatory properties.
It really is a whole toolkit in a bowl.
A comprehensive system.
Okay, but I have to be the practical one here. I'm listening and I'm thinking, that's great, but when I'm sick, I can barely get off the couch, let alone simmer a chicken for 12 hours.
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Yeah. Does it have to be grandma's homemade recipe, or can I just open a can from the pantry?
This is a big debate. And the answer is, it's a bit of a double-edged sword. It's nuanced.
Okay.
A canned soup will work in a pinch. You'll get the steam, you'll get the hydration.
Mm-hmm.
And that Renard study even found that some commercial soups had that same neutrophil inhibiting effect.
So the can isn't useless?
Not at all. Better than nothing.
Yeah.
But the sodium is often astronomical. And while you need some electrolytes, that much salt can actually be dehydrating and raise your blood pressure.
Right.
Homemade is the gold standard. When you slow cook everything, especially the bones, you're leaching so many more minerals, calcium, magnesium, and collagen, right into the broth. It's just way more nutrient dense. You're controlling the salt and maximizing the good stuff.
You know, there's also just the comfort factor. I read that the feeling of being cared for is actually biological.
Oh, it's absolutely real.
Yeah.
We sometimes dismiss the placebo effect, but it's not all in your head. When you eat a food you associate with comfort and care, your brain chemistry actually changes. It lowers stress hormones like cortisol.
And stress is terrible for the immune system.
It suppresses it. So if that bowl of soup makes you feel relaxed and cared for, you are physically putting your body in a better state to heal. The warm hug is part of the medicine.
That's fantastic. Okay, so what if someone listening hates soup or just wants more tools in their toolkit?
Great question. There are a few other evidence-based options. One of the strongest is zinc.
Zinc, I've heard about that for colds.
But you have to be very specific. It has to be a zinc lozenge that you dissolve in your mouth.
Not a pill you swallow. Why the difference?
It seems to be about direct contact. The theory is the zinc ions physically sit in your throat and prevent the cold virus from replicating right there in the war zone. A pill just goes to your stomach.
So you have to coat the area.
You do. And the data's pretty good. If you start taking it around 80 milligrams a day within 24 hours of your first symptom, it can shorten a cold by about a third.
Wow, that's a couple of days of misery gone.
It's significant. Tea is another obvious one. It has the same steam and hydration benefits as soup. And if you add honey, you're adding a demulcent something that physically coats and soothes a raw throat.
Right. And what about garlic? You mentioned it in the soup.
Yeah, there was a study that found people taking a garlic supplement had fewer colds than a placebo group. The evidence is more for prevention than for treatment once you're already sick, but it's still potent stuff.
So the battle plan is get that scratchy throat, pop a zinc lozenge, get the soup going for the traffic control and the steam, and maybe take garlic regularly to keep the bad guys away in the first place.
That is a very solid evidence-based plan.
It's just amazing how it all comes back to something so simple. But we have all this incredible modern medicine, and yet
Why?
we're still just boiling a chicken.
It's humbling, isn't it?
So let's wrap this up. What's the one big idea you want people to take away from this?
I think it's that we need to reframe how we think about being sick. We're always looking for a silver bullet, some pharmaceutical that will just destroy the virus.
Right, the magic pill.
Exactly. But as we've discussed, a lot of what makes you feel awful is your own body's over-the-top inflammatory response. So maybe the goal isn't always to fight the body more aggressively. Maybe the goal is just to calm it down.
To be the traffic controller.
Be the traffic controller.
Yeah.
Manage the chaos, provide the right fuel, and let the body do its thing more efficiently. Sometimes the most sophisticated chemistry isn't happening in a lab, it's happening in a stock pot.
I love that. Healing isn't always warfare. Sometimes it's just good traffic management.
That's it, exactly.
Well, thank you so much for this. I think I'm officially convinced that my grandmother was a secret biologist.
My pleasure. They often are.
And thank you all for joining this Healthy Talks deep dive. We'll see you next time.